Hey everybody, Self-Care Challenge Day 2, emotions. And the emotions are governed by the sacral chakra. I'm waiting to find me on Facebook so I can share into the groups as we do. Here we go, perfect. And in the Soul Legacy TV, I'm going to try to multitask, not my strong point. With Iona Mead, she talks about health freedom, so it's Health Freedom Tuesday in the Spiritual Biz YouTubers Network and the Soul Legacy Academy. So they really go hand in hand. If you're familiar with, like, I'm reposting myself in the wrong spot. If you're familiar with just like emotions and our diet and exercise and how that affects the body, and when we're stagnant or if we're eating a bunch of heavy, gross junk food that doesn't resonate well with our physical body, what that can feel like, right? So if I eat like lots of junk food, then I can feel heavy and gross and depressed. Maybe even anxious, right? Certain foods like caffeine, go figure. I used to drink like a ton of coffee. I still drink coffee, not saying I don't, but I used to drink a ton of coffee and then wonder why I felt anxious. Um, it just didn't make the connection. I didn't really think about it. What the mind will tell us sometimes, it's like I thought I would feel more anxious without the coffee because that would be like a withdrawal, right? You get so used to having something, and then when you don't have it, it's like you feel out of sorts and can feel anxious just about that in itself. But the caffeine in it really can make you feel anxious. What we eat, what we drink can definitely affect our emotions. So oftentimes we use the word emotions and feelings interchangeably, right? However, in this conversation, I'm going to try to refer more, and I say try because I still do it. I'm going to try to refer more to emotions like our human ego emotions, like the ones that can change quickly, right? So if I start telling you about situations of loss, I might start to feel myself getting sad, feeling low, feeling kind of down, right? Or if I start telling you about something that's really exciting for me and I'm really pumped about and I'm super excited, then I get, then that energy is very different and those emotions are very different. And I'm experiencing more joy and that excitement. Those kinds of emotions, it can change quickly. And oftentimes they change based on what we're thinking, right? What we're focusing on. So those are the emotions that sit in our sacral chakra. Deeper than that, when we start really feeling into our soul self, our true self, our highest self, those are more of our intuitive feelings. Those stick around more, right? So if we're in a situation that doesn't feel very good, as long as we're in that situation, we're probably feeling those feelings, right? And vice versa. If we're in a great space, then we might feel really grounded and settled in that feeling. It's not as the word erratic keeps coming to mind. Like it's not as erratic, those deeper intuitive true self feelings, as our emotions can be. Not saying they can't be deep, but they're not as erratic. They tend to linger longer. They don't just shift, right? So if I was sharing some big excitement right now, and I was still in my human emotions, even though they're exciting emotions, if I start shift my thoughts and think something else, that could quickly change. That's a human emotion. It's an ego emotion, using the word emotion. Again, whereas if I'm still settled, like my vibration might shift, my emotions might shift, but that deeper inner feeling stays the same. And that's what I tend to call feelings, right? But either way, kind of governed by our sacral chakra, and it affects our health, and our health then affects our emotions as well, or those deeper feelings, depending on like if we have chronic issues and stuff, right? So it goes hand in hand. Hey, Rebecca, let me pull you up here. Hey, beautiful lady. Thank you, love. How are you? Hey, Iona. Hey, love. How are you? How are you, ladies? Good to see you. So I just got started a few minutes ago and just kind of over explaining how I try to use the two words emotions and feelings a little bit different, just so we have an idea of those differences. I mean, there was a time when I didn't know any difference and I was only semi aware of like my humanist emotions because those were the ones that were I want to say kind of stronger. So the things that kind of pushed me and pulled me, so I noticed them more often. Whereas that deeper intuitive feeling, I only noticed those sometimes, right? I wasn't settled or grounded enough to really pay attention to those as often. So again, it's Tuesday, right? Doing our self-care challenge, really focusing on our emotions and trying to move deeper within to that inner awareness, as usual, aware, assess, and align, right? That inner awareness to know what our emotions are. It's not like we're just shoving them aside or tossing them aside or ignoring them or avoiding them. We just want to continue to look and look beyond them and not get pushed and pulled by them. So hopefully that makes sense. Iona says, I'm great, fantastic. I have to go back and watch your replay because I noticed as I was getting set up, I was like, I missed it. I missed your live. So yeah, we finished up lunch. We had an appointment. Got things all settled. So here we are. Here we are. It's all good. And it says emotional health huge with your self-love movement. It really is, right? So thank you for bringing that up too. So as I mentioned yesterday, and I want to make a point to keep mentioning it again. So again, thank you for bringing it up because it's not, I don't put it in my notes. I probably should. I do have a self-love movement. And what has initiated that self-love movement is having someone close to me who didn't have enough self-love, let's say it that way, right? Where suicide was a thing, like many attempts, many thoughts, and not those attempts where sometimes people blow it off like, oh, it's just right, or it's yeah, no, like big ones, big attempts. And when I share my more of my awakening story and stuff, I'll share more detail, and I won't do that now. But in my own issues of dealing with depression and anxiety and burnout and all the things, and having my own thoughts and whatnot, and just really noticing that worthiness and the self-love and not taking care of ourselves and just how deep that goes, right? Working with many other people who have also experienced the same. So I say, can you hear her? If you have enough, if we have enough, if we love ourselves enough, like that wouldn't be a thing. Suicide would not be a thing. Just wouldn't. So there's that. So that kind of triggered or spiked or ignited or started, whatever the word is I'm looking for, my movement, my self-love movement. Unfortunately, we've been kind of programmed to think like, oh, self-love is a terrible thing. Ew, you're so selfish and you're narcissistic because you love yourself. I don't mean um, like an exaggerated, glorified. I don't even know the good words I'm looking for, but not in an icky way, but in a very necessary way. How do I show up for anyone, right? My granddaughter, my mom, anyone else in my family, for anyone here who comes across my path? How do I show up and be a benefit to anyone if I'm stuck in that, right? Excuse me, if I can't have love for me first. Iona says, I mentioned it in my live. Oh, did you? Fantastic. I'm really curious. Which I know I was going to watch it anyway, but definitely in your notes. Yeah, I should put it in there, huh? Put the other stuff in there. I don't put that in. I had an ex take his life and impacted me for years and years. Exactly, right? Exactly. I'm sorry to hear that. Rebecca says, hi, my Mel. Hi, Mel. Hi. She says, hi. And it says, going through a spiritual awakening, it's a huge emotional roller coaster. True that, and that, right? Sometimes that experience in itself can be enough to kind of dang near take you out. I know my most recent one that I had a few years ago, I had a pretty significant low then too, and I didn't know if I was going to pull through it. But yeah, it's pretty deep stuff. Those ups and downs, and man, it is crazy. I love myself enough to show up, right? Exactly. And I've been learning to love myself more, which is fantastic. The action part, the habitual part, I'll say it that way. Excuse me, the habitual part takes time to change, right? And we have to create a new habit to replace the old habits, if you will. So that's kind of a big thing. So even as I'm loving myself more, right? Even as we love ourselves more, have love for ourselves more and take care of ourselves more. If we don't create those habits and stay with it and the routines, then we can quickly backslide when life happens as it does and quickly throw ourselves to the back burner again, right? Done this again, right? And then end up in that same old cycle. So this is huge. Hence, 49 days of self-care, right? Again, hence why we're on day 2. We just finished 49. We do it again because it's not about giving up. It's not about stopping. It's about creating those habits. It's about living and walking our talk and sticking with it and continuing on with the positive, healthy, loving cycles and not allowing ourselves to dip back into the old, right? Oops. Here we go. Rebecca says self-love prevents suicide. Exactly, exactly, exactly my movement. We need to stop teaching people that loving themselves is wrong. I agree. A million percent. And there's so many ways my head just went on that, right? Like, excuse me. Sometimes I'm sure you guys probably see it if you happen to scroll on Facebook or whatever, where people, and sometimes it's in our own projection, our own defense, or just our own stuff where we see something and we quickly assume that someone's being narcissistic. And I haven't seen the word thrown around as much recently, but over the past couple of years, it was like every time you turn around, right? Everybody's just calling other people a narcissist for whatever reason. It's like just because people don't do what you want them to do or how you want them to do it doesn't make them a narcissist, or they've set boundaries, or they're taking care of themselves too, or they're allowing love for themselves, right? It doesn't make us narcissists. It makes us healthier. Hannah says, yep, that was me, hence being here. Yeah, and thank you for being here. Yay for the cycles. Yeah, the good ones, right? We want the good ones. A million chicken percent. So health, like you said, emotional health, mental health, all of it together. What we eat, what we do, it all matters. Um, Rebecca says, my rabbi told me people do not change their lived lives. They change their habits. Habits change their lives. Got you, right? Yeah, that makes sense because the life itself doesn't just change on its own. We have to take action and do things to make the changes. And this is truth. Yes. So emotions are huge. So the energy in our sacral chakra is huge, right? We have to take care of that as well. The mind, body, and soul, being aware. So being aware of what we put into our bodies, what we put into that includes our energy body, right? What we see, what we hear, what we speak, what we surround ourselves with in our environments, the kind of energy that we're around, it all matters. There was, I don't remember whose video it was on YouTube, but they talked about, might have been for a book, but it talked about when you go into certain environments and how it can draw that, just like suck that energy right out of you and take you down and burn you out pretty quickly because you're putting yourself, like if you're trying to do outreach, almost like a forced outreach. Let me go in these certain areas where people are hovering in their lowest points of their life to try to get them and pull them out of the trenches, right? But they're not ready for it. So they're fighting and resisting and just sucking your energy dry. That's going to burn you out really quick. But if that's what I'm surrounding myself with every single day, could you imagine, like quickly, that would be rough. However, if you put yourself in a different situation, like we do here, right? We show up and we're saying, I'm available if and when you're ready. Now, I won't chase you down, right? I'm not going to try to dig you out of the trenches because we can't do that. We can't force people anyways, as much as we like to think we can. That would suck our energy dry. But if we can show up and taking care of ourselves and show you how to take care of yourself and just, not that you don't know how, but just see that it's okay and that when you're not giving yourself permission to kind of help you be the person to say it's okay to give yourself permission to do that, and then you're allowing people to come to you, then you can both be in a better space to give it and receive it, right? It's a very, very different energy. And it all matters. Again, mind, body, spirit. We're not just the physical. So it's not just what we eat. It's not just what we drink. It's not just how we move. Yes, it's that too, or it's that and. right? Again, what am I watching? Am I watching all the shows that break my heart? I don't watch TV, but I'm just saying, am I watching shows that break my heart? Am I watching things that make me scared? Am I watching, what am I watching? What am I feeding myself? Books that we read, the same type of books, right? Am I reading like murder mysteries and um, whatever it may be, or am I reading things that are a little more uplifting and inspiring, or even if it's not necessarily uplifting, but I'm learning something from it, right? So I can benefit from it. I'm feeding my mind something healthier, right? It all matters. Let me see. Um, Trying to see where I left off. No, I didn't miss anybody here. Here we go. Now it says, hence intentional living habits. Exactly, because if we're not aware, we won't make a change. We're just kind of floating around doing whatever. If we don't assess where we're at, then we're not paying enough attention to see that we need to make a change when we need to make one. Not that we always do, but when we need to. And then setting that intention, being intentional with it, that alignment piece, which are those intentions, right? Trying to watch how I speak because I notice that through the mics or whatever on videos, when I sometimes it mumbles through I'm sure I'm mumbling, it's the way I speak, but I'm trying to be more clear so it comes through more clear. Iona says, heck no thanks for those environments. True that. Like I used to work in some environments that were sort of heavy like that. I didn't have to go out in the trenches to find the people, but the people were kind of forced to be where we were at for the treatment process. It was a mandated thing, forced thing, and there are many people who didn't want to be there, so there wasn't much of that icky energy. Excuse me. Rebecca says, yep, you have to fill back up and go into better places, and we cannot drag people out kicking and screaming. People have free will. Truth. Truth. It's funny because even when, I'm going to use this example, when I worked in a community-based correctional facility and working with, probation officers and the other staff there and judges and whatnot, and the concept was that since they're mandated, they have to. They have to do this. They have to do that. They have to do. They don't have to. You can say that all you want to. Like, if they want to successfully complete the program, they have to. If they actually want to stay sober or make whatever change in their life, yeah, they would have to follow these steps, or these steps would be helpful. But when you get down to the nitty gritty, they don't have to. Like they could just not successfully complete. They could just do whatever the next avenue is. You can try to force and manipulate and use that over their head, but technically nobody has to do anything, right? Whether we like it or not. There are consequences to our choices, but still that doesn't mean we have to anything. Iona says some of us actually don't. The house as I help my friend, it is evident and it's lovely to witness the changes. It is, isn't it? It is nice to see the differences and the changes when people are taking action and learning more and doing more. And yeah, it is so huge feeding our mind. It really, right? And you talk about like certain books that you read and you listen to these intentionally each and every single day, whether you're reading it, this way or through the audio versions, the videos that we watch, the things that we focus on. Sometimes it's nice just to have the laugh too, right? Sometimes it's nice to break up the monotony or the energy of the day and go look for something that will make you laugh. So maybe it is a funny video. For me, I like to watch animal things, right? So I will not gonna lie, kind of like I've joined a couple of groups dealing with like the Smoky Mountain region and black bears and stuff. So when I can get a random black bear video or the little cubs climbing the trees and they're playing in a swimming pool or something, it's nice. It's that nice shift. It's a nice break from if we over focus on something that might need a change, or if we feel the resistance in something that needs a change, because we get that too, right? So if I reflect back a couple of years when I was quitting smoking cigarettes, I definitely had some resistance, because there's that part of you that wants to do it. Because if you didn't want to do it, you wouldn't be doing it. So obviously I wanted to, or I wouldn't have done it for so long. But I was wanting to quit more and I was wanting to be healthier more. So still moving through and working through that resistance and those moments of when you can feel like your body having that withdrawal or your mind playing the games on you because of the habits or whatever it may be. Sometimes it is nice to just take that break and mindless laughter, which is pretty cool. Iona says 24/7 a day, being accountable for everything. Oh, that is a lot of hours, ain't it? Sorry, I was just talking about being humorous. Iona says, I was walking and listening to You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. Good one, right? It is a good one. Can't believe it's been a couple of years. I know, me too. Yeah, it was 2 years into July. Yay! So now it's like getting into the next layer, right? The food. So I talk about oftentimes emotional eating and then working Iona's system in of that intentional eating. And sometimes we do treat ourselves, or it feels like that treat, right? To say have a piece of pizza or to have maybe a small piece of chocolate or to have, but you're being intentional when you do it and how you do it and how much of it you allow yourself to have, right? So that you have the boundary within yourself that it's not so unhealthy and terrible for you. And it's not just what I call emotional eating is really just if you were to grab a bag of chips and just smash it down, right? Like who's counting? A serving size is the bag. And I don't mean bag, I mean bag, right? It has many servings in there and you eat them all. It's unintentional and it's not healthy for mind, body, or spirit. But that was my thing before I started smoking. So as a kid, I was an emotional eater, and then I just substituted the food with cigarettes. So then, after all of those decades of giving up the cigarettes, and I had to like go back and relearn how to manage or, reapply how to manage my emotions and then find new habits to replace, which I'm still working on that, new habits to replace some of those urges of wanting, hand to mouth. So whether it's food or cigarette type of thing. Actually, as a kid too, before I started smoking and I emotionally ate, I bit my fingernails. I used to bite my fingernails. I don't do that now, but I'd forgotten about that till like right now with that hand and mouth thing. Um, Iona says, yay for Health Freedom Tuesday, right? For sure. And it all fits because look how it blends and melds with the emotions. And then it reminds us on the sacral chakra, right? So I am wearing my orange shirt because orange resonates with the sacral chakra. Yep. Treat intentional. I love it. It's very helpful. Very helpful. How often do we just let our minds take over and then we don't really pay attention? And then the things that we do out of old habits, you know? I could think of that when I smoked too. Like there were times when I didn't even, that was part of me quitting as being paying more attention, being more aware, being more intentional when I had a cigarette. So like not lighting it and letting it sit and burn while I was distracted doing other things, right? Like really realizing how often and how much I would actually smoke, like that level of awareness and that level of intention. It's an eye opener, not that that sounds healthy at all. Like, let me intentionally light my cigarette, let me intentionally, but it is because it helps you, it brings it into your awareness. You can really see, and then you can really make those choices and have that motivation if that's what it is for you to quit. It's no blame, shame, or guilt. It's just choices that we make. And that was definitely, I'm glad I made it. Glad I made it. Yep, big bag. Yeah, big bag of chips. Big one. You've done amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Rebecca says it changes everything. Honestly, physical and mental health improve when we eat well. Exactly. They go hand in hand for sure. For sure. I'm growing my nails. Are you? How cool. I still cut mine like I mean I needed to already. Just typing. Since I started typing more, I had not figured out how to type with nails, so I just cut them off. And like still true. I notice when I try to type and my nails when they get too long will hit the key above the key I want to hit. Yeah, it drives me nuts. I don't have time for that. It does fit. 1,000,000%. Love the shirt. Thank you. I like this one too because I don't know if you can see it because it's sideways, but it says faith. It says faith up and down. And it says a few of our soul sisters in SBW and stopped. Not sure if any started again. Did they? But it does bring it into our awareness. It does, for reals. Cut them off. I do. I just like, oh, they're getting in my way. It's time to cut them off. Can't do it. Can't do it. So, what are some things to help us manage these emotions? We just talked about how they can be so erratic and how we try to be intentional in managing them. So, having that awareness, sometimes I think it seems obvious, but then sometimes it's not. So, let's with our awareness. So, I'm leaning into some of the homework for the day, if you will, for the self-care homework when it comes to emotions. When you notice what you're feeling, in a sense, call it out, label it, name it. Name it for real though. Um, there are a lot of different emotions, like a lot. And some of those I've pulled into my trainings, as you guys have known if you've taken my classes. We have charts, and I haven't even used a quarter of them, but still to list them all out to get an idea of what the different emotions are that we have. So sometimes that process on its own is beneficial because we're using our mind. So whatever our mind was focused on before that initiated that emotion that we might want to change is now focused on being the observer of the emotion, right? So I've already found a way to pull back by trying to stay aware of it, by intentionally looking at it, by trying to identify it, because now instead of being wrapped into whatever it was I was thinking about that brought about the emotions I want to change, again, I'm in observer mode and I'm going, what is that I'm feeling? Is it this? Would that be the right word? Now it's almost like a puzzle piece. Is it this word? Is it that word? I've done that. There's sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what this is. There are times when I feel something and I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to name it. Or I might be able to give an idea. It's kind of a mix between A and B. Or energetically, I could just say it feels kind of heavy or dense, or just it feels kind of icky, or, I'm not mad, but I'm not sad, but I don't know what I am, and that's okay. But now our mind is working to try to figure it out. Our mind is working as an observer instead of being sucked into the ickiness where we could just add more and more and more and more to it, right? So there's that. And then aligning, what can I do, even if I'm not able to name it, what can I do to shift that energy? What can I do to help clear it out? Sometimes we need to just allow ourselves to feel it, right? I'm not saying ignore it. So do I need to just let myself cry? Do I need to let myself yell? Do I need to make a change in my life, right? To get out of this constant ickiness? Am I feeling like I'm stuck or I keep putting myself into spaces of icky, heavy energy and it's just too much and I don't need to do it to myself and maybe it's not benefiting anyway and I can totally make a change in that routine or that activity or whatever it may be? Let me know if that made sense. And then I'll move forward with a couple other things. Let me see. Fiona says, it does fit. I think so. Love the shirt. Oh, I did cut my back too far, didn't I? Sorry. On Health Freedom Tuesday, yeah, having a tribe and clearing energy as massive accountability. Exactly. And I love it. I'm so looking forward to the call. First Tuesday of the month, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you haven't signed up, I will put the link. Thank you for that reminder. I'll put the link in the comments too. And it's on Tuesday. So look at that. I love that connection. Never thought I was an emotional eater until you helped me bring it into my awareness. It's big, ain't it? And it's interesting how sometimes our emotions can kind of get away from us a little bit. Magenta. I know that's a color. Is that an emotion? Or did I miss it? I probably waited too long to come back to the comments. I'm sorry. Notice says, I love the way you assess your emotions. It helps me a lot. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad the process is helpful. If we did that with social media. Hmm. Hmm. I love that connection. Fantastic. Social media is something, isn't it? So then, gratitude always, right? And I know that there are times when we feel like, oh, you know, this sounds like so much work because I feel so heavy and icky. My mind is so much on all the icks that I can't even think of gratitude. But if we start small, we can we can start to focus. But again, sometimes you just need to let yourself feel it, which is okay too. Excuse me. Allow yourself to feel it so you can release it and break it up. It's coming up to be released. It's coming up not to be tossed aside or shoved back down. It's coming up to be in our awareness so we can see it for what it is, so we can allow it to be there, hold the space for it that it needs, so we can allow it to clear, right? It's part of the process. So I don't mean skip that part to try to move past it or jump past it or get around it. I just mean don't get stuck there, because I used to do that too before I learned ways to not get stuck there. So don't get stuck there. Yes, allow it to come up. Yes, be aware of it. Yes, allow it to release. But then, right? But then feel it and let it release after. Like when we no longer need it, like it's served its purpose, it can go, right? So grounding deeper within ourselves, like we talked about yesterday with the root chakra, in that grounding, feeling into the body, kind of moving, again, not around the emotion to avoid it, but to pull yourself away from it enough so that you can observe it instead of being sucked into it. So it's almost like pull yourself out of the quicksand so you can stand on the edge and look at it and see if you need to do anything else with it without being stuck in it, right? Because when you're stuck in it, it just feels like you're drowning in it, and that's not what we're trying to do either. Mindfulness, really bringing yourself into your awareness of your now moment. And I know that one gets really tricky, especially when you have situations that aren't great in your now moments. Like my life right now, if we start talking about it, but yet literally right now, this moment, I'm sitting on my bed and I'm safe. I'm physically safe, right? I'm talking to you, so I have this ability and I enjoy this process. I can look around. Oh, I got new curtains, by the way, in the bedroom. So I'm looking at, my curtains are wide open. You can probably see the windows reflecting in my glasses, right? So I'm really just paying attention. What color are my curtains? And what color are the walls? And what color is this hanging on the wall? And is that soft or is it hard? And what about the floor? And what color is that? Like literally going through each of these pieces, feeling something, the comforter, 'cause I'm sitting on a bed. It's a black comforter and it's soft and I'm feeling it right now and I'm paying attention to literally how it feels between my fingers. When we pull our awareness into this me right now moment and physically what is around me, what I can taste, because I'm trying a new drink that has dragon fruit flavor in it and it's delicious. So focusing on the taste of that dragon fruit drink and the feelings that I have or what I might be hearing. I can hear Miss Melanie breathing. Can. But anyway, so using our physical senses to really bring us into our body for that awareness, and that helps move us and shift us out of being in the quicksand of the emotion that we might be feeling. But then also in that calling it out, call out the good stuff too. I'm feeling grateful today. I'm feeling excited today. I'm feeling joyful today. I'm feeling so much love today and being happy about that and making sure you give that the attention that it needs too. Because if we avoid and ignore all those good things, we're not going to enjoy it as much or want it as much or realize that we have them, right? Don't let those pass us by either. Let me go back and see where I left off. Sorry, guys. You know how it is. Get on a roll. Start the rambling process. Let's see. Oh, Rebecca says, sorry, it's a joke. Oh, Blanche on the Golden Girls says she is feeling magenta when she is feeling all the icky emotions. Oh, okay. She cannot even name, doesn't know what it is. It's magenta. Oh, I remember that. I'll probably try that now if I remember. When I can't name my own, I'll be like, what was that word? It was magenta. Because I like that color, actually. Truth coming up. For real. For real. Skipping does not work. It really doesn't, does it? That's why it comes back. Because it's like, I know you tried to avoid me before, but still here. Hey, do you have time for me now? How about now? Now? Just does. Great visual. You know me. I'm a visual person. I got to have one, but I'm glad if it was helpful. That's awesome. Yay, the curtains. I know. It'll be interesting now because they're not as sheer as the other ones. Oops, sorry. So when the moon is really bright and coming through that side, maybe it won't wake me up in the middle of the night. We'll see. I still taste stir fried. That sounds delicious, not gonna lie. I get that. Good, good, good. Love your rolls. I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry. Oh, my rambles. Gotcha. Right. When I just go on a roll. That's what you meant. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So again, homework then. As usual, we're checking in with ourselves. We're seeing what we feel, if we have any emotions that need our attention, or if you notice those deep inner feelings and you feel grounded, and that's a really good thing, right? Having some gratitude for that is wonderful. Name them if you can name them. Remember, too, I had to learn this a long time ago, that when we name our emotions, remember an emotion is one word, right? So sometimes in the way that we speak and we think that we're sharing an emotion, we're actually sharing thoughts. So I feel like, and then I share this whole paragraph of what happened throughout the day and what was going on. And that's not just naming the emotion, that's adding a whole bunch of thoughts with it. I'm not saying it's a terrible thing. I'm just asking, they're challenging you, right? Because it's a challenge, self-care challenge, challenging you to practice just naming it. I feel sad, or I feel hungry, I feel hangry, I feel tired, I feel happy, I feel joyful, I feel grateful, I feel sore, I feel amazing, I feel, whatever it may be. But name them, one word for the emotion. Don't add any thoughts to it. Um, what was the other? Oh, practice the mindfulness, whichever one works for you. I tend to be a visual person and a textile person, or textile, is that the right word? So for me, it's usually what I see and what I feel, like physically feel. And sometimes it's not even just with my fingertips. I'll do like that body scan that I mentioned yesterday. But when I scan, I'm paying attention to focal points like, what does my leg feel like as I'm sitting on the bed? There's like a sense of pressure almost, right? Because you have my weight, not saying it's that much, but seriously, the weight of our body on the bed and how it's, is this comfortable? Is it not comfortable? Feels kind of warm too. Um, However, my foot, I like to use in grounding, focusing on the bottom of my feet. My foot that's dangling off the bed right now is cool. There's like cool air. I can lightly feel across my foot. But my other foot, like this sounds ridiculous, right? Like how boring. But that's the point. Like exactly the point is bringing us mindfully into our body to pay attention to what we feel physically, which helps interrupt if the emotions are getting taking us down in that quicksand, right? So practice that mindfulness and see what that is like for you. And if it helps you and what you notice, maybe do some comparisons of that before and after. So in your awareness and you did your assessment and you're realigning, and maybe you're not going from, 2 to 11 all in one shot, and that's okay. Can you go 2 to 3? 2 to 2.5? Can you just not go to 1? Sometimes that's good enough, right? Sometimes that's enough. Start wherever we are. We don't have to jump ahead, behind, or anywhere else. That's huge, the thoughts and one word. It really is. So thank you for saying that or noticing that. I feel chilled. Do you? Is it cold where you're at, Iona? I just moved my leg as I felt pressure I was not aware of. Isn't it interesting? Like so much, sometimes we can get so distracted with other things, like whether, and it might not be a bad thing necessarily, right? Not that we have to change what we're doing. It's just that we are so focused on it, paying attention to it, that we lose that focus and attention elsewhere. Just part of that self-awareness all the way around. Now it says, "Oh yeah, I feel air as the back door's open." Gotcha. Okay. I still have my fan on. It's a cooler day today, but I still have my fan. I shut the windows because air got too cold, but still have my ceiling fan on. You're welcome. I love you billions too. Thank you for being on here, you guys. Chilled out. I like that. Calm, chilled out. I get it. I get it. Relaxed. It took me a minute. Well, you said chilled, and I was thinking it was chilly here today, that's for sure. But now I like that. Chilled out, relaxed, calm. I like it. That's a good feeling too, isn't it? A very nice feeling. So much better than like stressed or tense or whatever. Rebecca, if you're still on, thank you for being here too, girl. Love you. think that's it for today. So again, if you would like to share your homework in the groups, that's amazing. Share them on your own wall and tag me, that's amazing. Do it in silence, that's great too, right? This is for you. It's your reminder for self-care. It's how we break things down and journal on them, supporting you as we walk our talk, right? Walking it on our own, sharing it as we go to give support as needed. Hop on, feel free to comment on the replays if you watch the replays. Don't forget to check the link so you can join us for the 7-day chakra healing challenge. The next live round is coming up September 25th. I'm looking forward to that because something new comes in every year, and it's an annual challenge. They get excited, tongue-tied. And that one's free. Again, I'll drop the link for the monthly call, which is also free. I mean, it costs your time and your energy, and bring your stuff that you want to clear out and work together to clear it out together because it's a collective energy clearing call, right? Got to make sure I said those words right. But check all the links. Iona's masterclass link is in there, and I think I put the YouTube channel, Soul Legacy TV, Spiritual Business with Iona, Soul Legacy TV, Spiritual Business Success with Iona. Now I can say it. That is there as well. So if you haven't subscribed yet, you definitely want to do that. She's got great things coming up on her channel as well. Rebecca says, love you big. Thanks, girl. Love you, love you. Oh, thanks for sharing my links. You are welcome, of course. Spiritual business. Spiritual business. I'm just mixing my words now, you guys. Joint Vision Partners for the Spiritual Biz YouTubers Network and Soul Legacy Academy. Now I can say it. I have to slow down. You see that? I get excited and tongue-tied, twisted. I tell Melanie all the time, slow down, because she'll get excited and stutter, and I'm like doing the same. It's probably seeing her grandma, huh? Thank you again for being here on live or replay. I will see you tomorrow. So much love. Take good care, guys.